Hello students, this is Mrs. Miller, and the purpose of this video is to share my thinking with you as I go through our CNN article entitled Clinton Calls for Path to Full and Equal Citizenship. Now, this article was written by Eric and Dan on Wednesday, May 6th, 2015. So this was before today's date, well before today's date. So at this point, Hillary Clinton was not yet the nominee to be president, but she was one of the Democratic contenders for the position. So here we go. Las Vegas, CNN. Hillary Clinton is inviting and practically baiting Republican presidential contenders into a battle over immigration. So I have a thought. I wonder, why does she want to debate over it? Why does she want to fight over it? In her first Nevada campaign event on Tuesday afternoon, the Democratic frontrunner accused the entire GOP field of seeking to relegate immigrants to second-class status. That's quite a bit of information right there. So she's accusing them of doing something. Now, if I don't know what a word means, I'm going to open up a new tab and look up the meaning of the word. That's how I expand my vocabulary and better understand what I'm reading. So I see that relegate means to send or consign to an inferior position, place, or condition. So I'm wondering how that would fit into the context of this. And then it says relegate them to second class status. I'm going to look up what second class status means. It says a citizen, especially a member of a minority group, who is denied the social, political, and economic benefits of citizenship. Oh, now I understand. Hillary Clinton is accusing the Republican presidential candidates of wanting to treat immigrants as if they're not as good as American citizens. She's saying that the candidates are not doesn't want to give immigrants the same rights as American citizens. That's very interesting to me. I have a text to world connection. I remember a time in history, and even sometimes now, that people say, oh, I was treated as a second-class citizen. When somebody goes somewhere and they're discriminated against, they say that I was treated as a second-class citizen. And so that's going to be my text to world connection with that. She promised to go farther than President Barack Obama, whose unilateral moves to keep more undocumented immigrants in the United States have infuriated conservatives. So the Republicans are the ones who are conservatives, and they've gotten very angry with President Obama for the decision he made to keep undocumented immigrants in the United States. Now, you are welcome to look up more information. You could just open up a tab and read more about what President Obama did if you want to. I do have a question though. Question number one is, why were they angry that he was trying to find a way for people to stay in the United States? I don't understand that level of anger, because the author put infuriated. That's not a little upset. That's very, very angry. And then I have another question. With checks and balances with the House and with the Senate, how is the president able to make unilateral decisions? And I also want to know what happens if we have a president who makes bad unilateral decisions. That's something that I'm wondering. I'm ready to have this discussion with anyone, anywhere, anytime, she said. Issuing her strongest call yet for a path to full and equal citizenship, Clinton hit her GOP opponents, House and Senate leaders, and every other target she could find for stymieing previous pushes for a comprehensive overhaul of the nation's immigration laws. Okay, my first thought is, I love this, that she wants to have a path to full and equal citizenship for immigrants. That would be fantastic. Now, why wouldn't the GOP want better reform for immigrants? What do they have against immigrants? This is the second time in this article that it was mentioned that they didn't like trying to do something. They didn't like President Obama's moves, and she's saying that they tried to stymie. Let's look up the meaning of stymie. That would be to hinder, block, or thwart. It's used as a verb here, so I need this definition. So they tried to block previous pushes for overhaul for the nation's immigration laws. I don't understand why. This is where I differ from everybody on the Republican side, she said. Make no mistake, not a single Republican candidate, announced or potential, is clearly and consistently supporting a path to citizenship. When they talk about legal status, that is code for second-class status. Oh, Hillary Clinton is using that second-class phrase again. So that's word choice. She wants us to really know that the GOP or the Republican presidential contenders are treating immigrants as if they're not as good as American citizens. The signal Clinton's Las Vegas event sent was direct and simple. She's willing to go all in on pushing immigration reform, banking on it being a huge winner for Democrats in 2016. And she's fine with moving as far to the left as she needs in order to lure Republicans into attacking her for it. So she's really ready for a fight over this issue. How about that? A new NBC Wall Street Journal poll underscored the potential payoff of Clinton's strategy. She leads former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, a Miami resident whose family speaks Spanish at home, 66% to 28% among Latinos, and leads Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who is of Cuban heritage and once pushed for immigration reform in Congress, 63% to 32% among Latinos. That is very interesting to me, that people who have maybe who are Spanish speaking or of Latin descent themselves, Clinton was leading them in the polls at the time of this writing. Clinton and her campaign aides hope her bet will be bolstered by the fact Hispanics have been one of the fastest growing voting blocs nationwide for years. In 2008, according to Pew, 19.5% of all eligible voters were Hispanic. That number shot up to 23.7% in 2012 and is expected to grow even more by 2016. In Nevada, a critical early presidential primary state, Hispanics make up 30% of the population. Wow, so the Hispanic vote is very, very important. They make up a large percentage of voters. I have a text-to-self connection. When I want something, when I want people to vote for me for something or choose me for something, I will talk to them about what I do, what I can do for them. As a photographer, if I want somebody to hire me to do a job, I talk about what I can do for them and I talk about the things that they like and what they want. And I think that's what Hillary Clinton is doing as well with pushing so much for the immigration reform. She really wants that Latino vote. Republican presidential candidates have all hammered Obama's executive actions that Clinton said she supports. They cited new Attorney General Loretta Lynch's support for those actions as a key reason many opposed her nomination. This is something that I could definitely read more about. I would just open up a new tab and look into this some more. But for the sake of this video, we're going to keep going. And though Bush released a video celebrating Cinco de Mayo on Tuesday, Clinton's campaign believes even candidates who can speak eloquently on issues important to Latinos will be torn between the demands of their much more conservative primary electorate and general election voters on the issue of undocumented immigrant status. That's very interesting to me. There might be some other candidates who can speak so well about this issue, but they're torn between what the people want, the people who in their district who they already serve, and the voters, and fighting for immigration reform. It sounds to me like Hillary Clinton's all in though, like she's gonna fight for this as much as she can. Latinos favored Clinton by a 2-to-1 margin in her 2008 Democratic primary battle against Obama. But many had grown sour with Clinton over her failure to wade into issues tied to immigration and her re-entry into the political scene, saying they wanted to see her take the kinds of stronger stands she announced on Tuesday. I have a question. I remember that Hillary Clinton had been running for president, and then President Obama, at that time, before he was president, he ended up becoming the Democratic nominee. But I wonder why, when she re-entered the political scene during this time, she didn't talk about the immigration as much or as strongly as she is now. Since she didn't do that, that kind of turned off some of the other people to her. For the first time, Clinton laid out reform proposals. Among them, allow the parents of dreamers or undocumented immigrants brought into the country as children to stay in the country just like their children can under Obama's 2012 executive action. The undocumented parents of children who were already U.S. citizens gained that right under Obama's follow-up 2014 action. She also said reunifying splintered families should be a core goal of immigration policy. I'm going to go back up here for a moment, and I'm going to look at this word dreamers. A dreamer is somebody who was brought into the country as a child, and they were undocumented. They weren't American citizens. They didn't have papers or anything like that to be an American citizen. And President Obama issued an executive action, and he said those children can stay. They don't have to go back. So what Hillary Clinton wants to do is allow the parents of the dreamers or these children to stay as well. Now, I love the idea of families being able to stay together. To me, that's so very important that families are able to be together like that. So I really like the idea of the goal of immigration policy being to reunify splintered families or having families together. If Congress won't act, she pledged, as president, I would do everything possible under the law to go even further than Obama has gone already to expand undocumented immigrants' rights. Clinton said she wants to see a streamlined process for undocumented immigrants to make their case to avoid deportation. I like that idea. I like that she wants to find a way for them to be able to stay in the country. She's not saying that they shouldn't seek proper citizenship, but she's saying they shouldn't have to be deported. She wants to find a way for them to be able to make their case, such as I'm contributing to society or I've lived here all my life or whatever it may be, so that they're not deported or sent back to their country of origin. We should put in place a simple, straightforward, and accessible way for parents of dreamers and others with a history of service and contributions to their community to make their case and be eligible for the same deferred action as their children, she said. Dreamers were among Clinton's biggest critics during her recent book tour and 2014 midterm blitz. I have a thought here. I notice that these are not the criminals that Donald Trump keeps referring to. These are people who are contributing to their community in some way or have a history of service. Now, though, she's sitting down with many of them. At her Tuesday evening event, Clinton sat with several students who benefited from Obama's 2012 move to forestall deportation for dreamers, including one girl who said she aspired to go to Yale University and become a doctor. I have a text-to-self connection. My brother is currently in school to become a doctor. We are in a global competition, and I intend for us to win it. And I'm not about to let anybody who can make a contribution to our economy and our society get thrown away, Clinton said. She heaped praise on Rancho High School, which hosted the event, for using federal Title I money to fund advanced placement exams for its students, admittedly arcane, she said, but important to helping poorer students like dreamers whose parents, due to their legal status, can't land high-paying jobs. I have a text-to-self connection. One of my brothers is a senior in high school, and he may be able to get some money because he comes from a low-income family. So that was my connection right there. If you don't know what the word arcane means, you can open up a tab at the top and look that up. Let's finish up. Cristina Jimenez, a managing director for United We Dream, the pro-immigration group that organized protests against Clinton in recent years out of frustration that she hadn't taken a stronger stand, was struck by Clinton's comments. It sounds like we may actually have a substantive debate on immigration reform and executive action this year, she said after the event. Full and equal citizenship for our communities, the protection of the existing executive actions on immigration, and a commitment to expand that relief were good to hear. I like that. I like that people would be safe and together. Please go ahead, finish reading the article right here, and then you're going to read the article on your own and annotate the text as you see fit.